Hi, I have one question. So with introduction of or with Tesla becoming popular in especially in US, the electric vehicle market has boomed these days. Uh, Whereas in many countries we are still dependent on, as you said, a renewable like coal or thermal energy for the production of electricity. So if you're using that electricity to charge an electric vehicle, so how fair is it to say that it's a zero pollutant vehicle when it comes to market and to promote it as a clean energy to be in on the road?
I think it's a good point, Pradeep. Uh, See, I think all technologies evolve in steps. It happens by steps. So, first step or first challenge to overcome in an electrical vehicle is to have a vehicle which will prove itself and should be able to take you to a reasonable distance. See, we had vehicles which could only do about 80 kilometers, and they were not very popular because people did not have the confidence that that is adequate for them. So gradually now the range has been increasing. So Tesla has a good range, so that's one of the reasons why it is popular. Apart from all the facilities and the way it is positioned in the market, India also is working on, Indian manufacturers are working on new models to increase the range. So increasing the range is an important challenge. Second is having recharging stations. So how do you recharge them? Because nobody wants to get stuck anywhere with a dead battery. So how do you recharge them? So the various solutions being worked out, including some solutions to change the battery itself. You go to your station, remove your battery, put another battery and come back. And you don't own the battery. You buy a car, battery is on lease. So you just take the battery. Once it gets discharged, go to a battery station, get it changed, and then keep going. So these are different models which people are working on. So first thing is to get the EV going. Then where does the electricity for EV come from? That's a parallel exercise. So once we know that the EV works and you can go and get it charged at some place, you just increase the proportion of renewables in the grid. So once you increase the proportion of renewables, then naturally the consumption of conventional power that gets reduced, right? See, currently we are using petroleum fuels. So petroleum fuels, the moment you shift from petroleum fuels to electricity, petroleum fuels is 100% carbon, whereas currently if you go to grid is, let's say 63% carbon, 35% is renewables. Now you work on increasing renewables in the grid from 65%, from 35% to say 90% or 80%, whatever gradually that will happen. At the same time, you perfect the EV technology with the battery storage and all that. At some point of time, you'll reach a position where you don't need petroleum fuels and you're using electricity from the grid, which is at 80-90% renewables. So that's how I think we are going to find a solution for this.
Yeah, actually, maybe I have another question. So especially for students who are wanting to, learn more about, you had a very informative set of slides, which I learned a lot. But what is a resource for students or, anybody interested to get to know more about some of these details and some of these things? And, what would you do? Recommend any book or website or?
Oh yeah, there are a lot of resources available. Maybe difficult to share orally, but maybe I can share the list with Pratiksha, and maybe Pratiksha you can circulate among the people.
So that would be very good. Yeah,
a lot of resources available for students to just study, depending upon, it's a vast subject.
Yeah.
One interesting thing which I should say is I graduated in mechanical engineering, right? It has taken me much beyond mechanical engineering. So it's been a excellent learning experience. You get to learn, at least in the initial part of my career when I was working in KSCST, I got to learn from all the intellectual heavyweights there at Indian Institute of Science. But even thereafter, the technology has been evolving. Like what is there today was not existing 20-25 years back. And even the future will be like that. So technology is evolving, and it's an integration. Energy sector is an integration of all the fields of engineering which you see, mechanical, civil, electrical. So all fields get integrated there when it comes to energy, even chemical. And microbial, you are talking of biogas and all, so there's a lot of microbial technology comes. So everything gets merged here. So it's a very interesting area of work where you get to learn continuously, and you can have a lot of, there are a lot of opportunities to grow in this sector.
I see. So let's say, for example, an engineering student wants to enter a renewable energy field. What do you recommend they do as the first step? Is it that they should try to do further studies like a master's in renewable energy, or should they try to get an internship first at a renewable energy company, and that is a good gateway? Any recommendation for first steps?
See, masters would help if most employers do not look for masters. Let me say that they don't need masters because most of the learning happens on the job. But masters would be helpful if you are looking at specific opportunities. Maybe if you are going into research institutions, are you going to join organizations which has a research division within them? So then it definitely makes sense. So if you have a research orientation, definitely go for masters. But even without masters, there are a good number of opportunities. There are a lot of companies, and internship is a good way to start. Definitely a good way to start.
Thanks for that answer.
That for people who want information is the MNRE website itself. It really gets you a lot of information on the energy sources in India, where they are used, the pros and cons, and the research establishments working under them.
That's right, Rajshekhar. That's there. And you have a website of NISC, then the Wind Energy Organization of MNRE.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of.
So another question that I had for you, Dinesh, is what are the interesting, things happening in your line of work right now that is exciting for you, and for anybody working in this field?
It is changes which is happening in the industry. I think that itself keeps it interesting. Apart from that, you also have a lot of regulatory changes. If you are into electricity, especially into electricity, there are a lot of changes happening. It's all controlled by regulation. So, especially for people who do MBAs, there are a lot of opportunities in terms of working with the regulatory commissions in helping them through these regulations. So that's another interesting work which is there. Then you also have a lot of interesting work happening in the EV segment, electric vehicles and battery storage, both those things. There are a lot of automobile companies who are getting into electric vehicles, are a lot of companies which are becoming vendors for the automobile companies, developing important components like drivetrains or artificial intelligence, self-driven cars. So these are all quite interesting things which are happening in this segment.
I see. So we have another question here from Ravi. What sort of permissions would be required to do POC, proof of concept experiment, for wave energy, and which organization to approach?
Wave Energy would be IIT Chennai and NIOT, two of the premier organizations in the country, would give you most information on this.
Your question was of proof of concept. I think what Rajshekhar Uchil is telling is important, in the sense that, better to discuss your proof of concept with some scientists who have worked on it already before getting into.
You may find it's already existing also.
Yeah, something is already done, or something it may work, it may not work. So it's good to get a crit on what your idea is.
I guess we would then move on to the last question that that I have for you, post which anybody else could also ask if they want. What is your suggestion for young minds of today, right? Let's say they're in first year, second year engineering, and they're kind of a little clueless as to where the career will be, what they will do. They're just focused now on just getting through semester after semester. What do you suggest for the young minds of today, especially when it comes to like emerging technological fields?
I think there are a lot of choices available now, a lot of choices. But I think you also have to take the first step first. So first step would be to get if you're looking at an employment, and that's your priority, find a job. And there are some organizations, some institutions where you get a good number of choices in terms of placement opportunities. So you will have 2-3 jobs in your hand before you graduate. So it's a good position. But if you're in an organization where that is not happening, then I think for everybody getting a job, get a first job, doesn't matter whatever it is, get a first job and then learn through that. You don't have to be disappointed that you didn't get a good job. I think what happens, at least from my 30 years, looking at my life and looking at lives of all the others I have, while good start is important, life is not a 100-meter race. It's a marathon. So it doesn't matter if you don't have a good start. If you get a good start, excellent. But it doesn't mean anything. Good start also sometimes may not lead to a good finish. So it's okay, take it easy. But at the same time, give your best to the organization and make sure that you are giving value to your employer. As long as you are giving value to your employer, you will grow. And you will get opportunities as time goes. And nobody wants to lose a good resource. Become a productive, useful resource for the organization. I think that's the most important thing. Doesn't matter what sector you choose. And by becoming useful for your organization and for the society, you get the growth. That has been my takeaway from the 30 years of my experience.
I see. So thanks for that. Thanks for answering that. So I think with this, we kind of come to a close of the AMA. Thank you for answering all the questions from bio renewable energy to solar and wind, and even thanks to for answering about ocean renewable energy and all that. So with that, I think we will close this AMA. Happy to connect everybody to Dinesh if you would like, and please stay tuned for more such AMAs coming from us to you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dinesh. Yeah,
thank you. Thank you again, Pratiksha, for the opportunity, and I hope I've been able to provide some value to you guys.